Hi everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. So today this card's been a challenge. I didn't really have anything that I have a bunch of new stuff coming. I want to do my card club sample for the month, but all of that is maybe gonna arrive today UPS. I have a feeling it's sometimes Stampin' Up uses SurePost, which means the post office brings it, and the last couple maybe the last 2 months or so, our postman doesn't come until like 7:30 at night. So my package is supposed to come SurePost. So I'm not going to get it in time to use it today. And I really didn't have a plan. So I sat down and I thought, well, I'm going to use something. I still have several stamps out of this catalog, the January mini, that I haven't used yet. So I pulled one out and it was flowers. And so I tried, Guys, I stamped for so long. So for those of you that think that I just sit down and can whip out magic, that doesn't happen. And it is gray and raining. And I know for a lot of you today, it is snowing. And I've kind of forgotten that it's winter because we've had some pretty nice temperatures and some pretty nice weather around here, except for the fact that my daughter and her friends are going skiing this weekend, and they're leaving today up in northern Michigan, not all the way to the UP, but pretty far up there. So I looked at the weather forecast in South Bend is getting snow today. So of course, you know, they're driving right through it. And I'm like, oh, the snow. And I'm seeing you. So I'm sorry if you're getting snow. I'm done with snow. So I tried to color the flowers in spring colors. That wasn't working for me. Seriously, guys, I messed with this. And then the card never even made it. Sometimes I show you the things I was less than pleased with. I just have a trash can full of yuck. But so I went with gray. I'm like, yeah, it's gray and rainy. And so there's a couple of different things I'm going to show you as we go along, and a couple of things that I will be able to tell you, kind of some of the color choices I made, and hopefully it will remind me to share with you as we go. So let's get going on it. I'm pleased with the end result. So it took a while to get there, but I'm pleased with it. One of the things that I'm going to use is, or I guess two of them, are from the Ready to Ride collection. Now, I love the paper in this. It's not something I would have bought, except if you follow me, you know, my biggest classes every year, and I do 3 of them, are what I call my Try It classes. So because I do Try It classes, those classes are every time there's a new catalog. So registration for one will open soon because the annual catalog starts in May. So the class will be in May. We also leave for a little over 2-week European vacation. So for Mother's Day, my daughter and future son-in-law are getting my class ready so it can be out the door before we leave on our vacation. But because I do that class, I buy all of the paper in every new catalog. This is a paper I probably wouldn't have bought because I don't do motorcycles. But then once I got it, I was sorely tempted to get this. I did get the folder because the Try It class, I get all the folders and I get all of the new embellishments. This doesn't have a ribbon. But once I got the paper, I love it. The paper's fabulous, guys. So if you haven't looked at it because like me, you don't do motorcycles, maybe this card will kind of change your mind. And I pulled the whole stack of paper out so you can see it. I'm not going to use the folder on it, but it's a great just texture, and I am going to use those embellishments. So we'll take a look at the paper when I get to that part of it. And then, where can I put that? I'm going to use something fancy, and I am going to go back and use this suite. I used it a lot in November because here's a couple of different points. Y'all know I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, obviously. I get to go on my European vacation because half of that is the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip to Norway. Before that, my family and I are doing the United Kingdom. But the something fancy is part of that suite. I don't know that I have really stamped much with it for you, but I did an on-stage presentation when Stampin' Up! Came to Indianapolis last November. So I've had it for a minute. I really like it, and I'll show you how I'm going to use it. Then at on-stage, we all got gifts. You get gifts whenever Stampin' Up! Comes and does an event. And so this was one of the gifts that we got. I don't remember. That day's all kind of a blur because when you present, you're kind of busy and you're a little bit nervous, and it's just always, even if you're not presenting, a busy day. I don't remember if we all got this. like they do all attendee giveaways, or if it's something I want. I don't know how I got it, but I got it. I think that no, maybe my friend, she got it too, but we may have had the same number. But I had literally not stamped with it, although a sweet little surprise. When I opened it, there was also a card inside that I hadn't read from that day that one of the Stampin' Up! Staff had given me, and I had stuck it inside here. And when I opened it to use it today, I got to open the card as well. So that was kind of a sweet little treat. So I'm going to use the decorative borders, and it would be really pretty in spring colors. It just wasn't working for me. It's a little bit of a different kind of stamp set because there's all the pieces. I tried putting all of the pieces, bar one, on a card, and I scaled back from that. So now we're down, I used 2 of them on the card. So those are the stamp sets I'm gonna use. This has a lot of potential, and it's really one where you need to match it, as is this one. This is great words. I love the Here's to Beautiful Beginnings and Happily Ever Afters. We have a bunch of weddings this year, and that's going to be my go-to. I already know that. I'm going to, and I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. My birthday cards are often late. But today I'm going to do Grateful for the Everyday Magic of You. I just think that's a really fun little saying. So let's get going on the card. I am going to use the Stamparatus. I don't know that you would necessarily have to use the Stamparatus. I was using it from when I tried to get all of the stamps on one card. And then I am going to use Smoky Slate. So you all may have heard, we are having a Stampin' Up! Event here in Indianapolis again later this month. And so I've been busy working on the preparation for that. So I didn't get an email out, but you may have heard that Stampin' Up! Did announce that we are having a color refresh, which those happen every 3 to 5 years. So it's not a shock because it has been 5 years since the last time we did it. So they will take the 48 colors and they will maybe introduce some new ones. We don't know what's happening, so don't ask me. I have no special insight. But they may shuffle in some of the past in colors that were super popular, that are more trendy than some of the colors that are currently in the 48. So some things will come, some things will go. And there may be new ones. So what I did for this card was I pulled a couple that just from what you guys order, as far as ink colors, refills, and cardstock from just me. I'm just basing it on what my customers order. I think may not be the most popular of colors. So that tells me that maybe they're going. I saw there were on the leaders board, there were a bunch of guesses and people were guessing gray granite. And my heart's like, no, that's my very favorite color. And I know people think that's weird because they're like, it's gray. But is it gray? Is it gray or is it brown? Because when you pair it with the different things, it's kind of both. Can you hear that? That's the rain. It's also later in the day than what I like to film because it's been raining like this all day. And I kept thinking it was gonna stop and I would be able to film without that noise. And finally I'm like, it's Friday, you gotta record. So you're just gonna have to listen to the peaceful sound of the storm. And my husband got our lawn chairs out of the shed the other day when he was in getting something else. And he's like, it's not gonna get super cold again. I'm gonna get these out. And now they're in the middle of the yard because they blew away. So this is actually Smoky Slate. I don't think, my guess is Smoky Slate would not go anywhere, but who knows. So I laid my Smoky Slate piece of paper on here and it's bigger than what I need, but I want to be able to have some room to kind of work with it. And then I have the magnets. This is, because I'm using 2 sets, one's photopolymer and one is red rubber. So you have to kind of play with them a little bit. I'm going to use Versamark. I mounted just the big swag and then the little, it's a little line with diamonds on it. And because, like I said, I shared with all of the stamps on a card and I just kept pulling them off. That was before I knew what colors I was going to use, long before I knew what embellishments I was going to use. It's more fun, you guys, to do this if you are playing and not because you're trying to get a video up. So sometimes just start with all your stamps. So I'm going to stamp this. Get it nice and inked. Sometimes I had this on another one when I did my card, and then I don't have a lot of room on my table because I do have another card. I'm going to see if I can get both of them filmed. Yeah, that got it. So I've got that, and then I'm just going to flip this around this way. Oops, maybe. Nope. I put my paper in the wrong way. So you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna do this, and then you should pay attention and not be talking. So this needs to go here. It's not the best way to use your Stamparatus, but at least my words will be straight. Put this. I wonder. Usually I use the Stampin' Up thing in my corner, and it wasn't there, but I was talking to you all and I wasn't paying attention. That looks much more on center. I'm gonna go down just a little bit, and then I still have that sticky under here. This is also why I gave myself more, because I can touch all around the edges and I don't have to worry about my hand leaving fingerprints. Ink this. Now, here's what I was talking about. This is red rubber. You have to be super careful when you drop it down, although now that I've moved everything, I could have taken this foam pad out. This is the foam in the Stamparatus that is meant for the photopolymer, because it doesn't have this foam here. So now, since it's double foamy, if you press too hard on this, you're gonna get a bunch of, like, it's gonna look bad, especially in words. So just barely press. And do I see all the words? I know you guys can't see them. I can see them because I have a bunch of lights on in my studio today because it's gray and yucky out. And I'm gonna do this in black because I told you I'm doing gray and black. And even once I went to the gray cardstock, because it was laying here and I kept embossing in black, I started in white, and then I went to clear, and then I just stamped in green ink, and I thought, well, I'm going to color it first with blends, and then I'm going to stamp back over the top of it. Seriously, it took forever, and they were all I wasn't pleased with any of them. So you can see in places where I have touched, should have used my embossing buddy. I got it out and I laid it here. That's going to get most of it off. And then you can take your paintbrush that comes in the toolkit and just wipe off any of the places where it's an obvious fingerprint. Good, I'm gonna heat that. So let's color this in. And here is where I picked some colors. I don't think that Blushing Bride would, okay, I think it might go. It's one of my favorite colors. I love this pink because anybody who loves gray granite, I love the tones. You can see my nails are kind of Blushing Bride. I like things that tend towards the vintage and that has like a little bit of brown to it. I really love that color. And I also like Petal Pink. I know that some people don't like Petal Pink because it's too peachy. I like that. And then Mossy Meadow, I know, is a lot of people's least favorite of our greens, as is Pear Pizzazz. And then Mary Merlot. So what happens when there's a color fresh? They haven't told us the colors. When they announce the colors, if you have those colors and you love those colors, you might want to stock up on the refills and on the another pack of cardstock for them. Or just get like a pack of the assorted cardstocks, or you could just get a whole family right now of the colors, the ink refills that go with them, and have those ready. And then you'll have all of them for the way that the color families are now. So I'm going to take my Stella because, you know, this made me happy after all of trying to get, so here is what I kind of mean for the Mossy Meadow. See, this is the green, but once it gets wet, and I like Mossy Meadow because, again, it tends towards the brown. And if you see me, I wear a lot of camo kind of clothes, which some people in my life tease me about. I'm always like, well, you can't see me now. But I like the khaki, the camo kind of look. And this has that, the army green kind of tinge. But you can definitely see where it looks green until it gets kind of wet, and then it has that brown. It pairs really well with the gray granite and these colors, especially here on the smoky slate. And I know that for a lot of people, when they see a flower set like this, then they would go parakeet or granny apple and, you know, polished pink and red and orange and purple. So we're just mixing it up here. And I think you're really gonna like it when you see it paired with the motorcycle paper. It's not called motorcycle paper, but I don't remember what it's called and I'm painting. So just get a little bit of ink. And the nice thing with the Mossy Meadow or any of our dark colors is you can see I'm starting here. Once I picked up the ink from the top of my ink pad, and it's super shiny, but on a less than sunny day, I know it's really hard for my camera to pick up. So here it is full strength. And then I just keep painting, and the lighter it gets, it changes colors of green. So it gives me several shades of the Mossy Meadow. If you start with a light green, you don't get that fun effect. I'm hearing birds for the first time today. And then when you are, like you're not gonna use any more of that color, just get rid of it over here. You don't wanna do that more than you need to because it does use up your Stella. Then I'm gonna go with Blushing Bride because I'm gonna do a red and a red. So I'll start with my lightest red. And again, just squeeze the top so you have some ink in here. Let me get all of these little diamonds. And then get my flowers. And when you do this technique, you want to try to not go over the top of your embossing because especially if you're using these light colors, this is a opaque paint that's in the Stella and then you're adding color to it. So it will lessen the color of the black if you put too much of this over the top. And you want your black to be nice and strong black color to give that fun outline. I'm going to take Mary Merlot, and I hardly ever use this color myself. I do at Christmas, but then I can go the rest of the year and hardly use it at all. It's part of our neutral collection, and as is the Mossy Meadow. So sometimes I think people just don't even know that it's there. It's one of our more burgundy reds, and I'm just going to add little touches of it to the flowers, because I've already colored them in with the Blushing Bride. And because I'm using the Smoky Slate as my card base, everything's has just a tiny bit of a different tinge, as our inks do if you color on vanilla. Then they'll also be a little bit of a different color than when you do it just straight on white. It looks pretty good. And then just make sure at the end you get that off. Then the next time you go to use it, you're starting with a clean pen. So see how sparkly and pretty that is? Now I'm going to trim this down. And these were just scrap pieces. I have a little plastic thing of drawers that sits next to my table, and I fill it. I have one that's reds, one that's greens. They're just colors. They're not our colors, but you know, all my blacks and grays are in one. So I'm just gonna go right up along this because I want to see my designer series paper more than I want to just see pieces of cardstock. So however big your design is, just trim right up close to that. And if, in fact, if you go right to the edge and a little comes off, then that's okay too. Because when I was all said and done and I put it on there, I left a little bit more of a border on my original card than I need. So this one's gonna be tinier than my first. You just kind of want to make sure that it's all even. So this is a little closer than that, but that's going to be okay because we're going to scuff this up in a second. And this is about the same as that. And then let's take a look at the paper that I'm not using. I'll show you the packet of it. So here's the fun side that's got the metallics. And look how cute this is. You can just color this in. If you have anybody in your life, adult or child, some of my daughter's friends, they still love the Disney series Cars, and this kind of has that feel to it. You can leave it this color combination, or you can color it in with blends or watercolor pencils. And this is tire track, so it doesn't have to be motorcycles. Anybody who's into any kind of racing or cars. And then just some patterns. And then if you don't want to buy the motorcycle set, but you could use a motorcycle on occasion, you could just save this piece and then have those ready to cut out. And then this piece, I love this piece because again, you can cut these out and have just small pieces. This one can be for travel or graduation, as could this one. This one could be for a wedding. It's just a really fun, different kind of piece of paper. This one would be fun, like for retirement or for somebody that likes camping. Again, this one is more of the motorcycle theme. I'm trying, there's a couple that I've missed, I know. For one, the one we're using on the card today. That's most of them. And then the one I'm going to use is the rose. So this is the back side, and again, it's kind of travel, kind of has a desert feel to it, the maps. And then this is it on this side. And I want to see all of it, so I did cut this. Normally for my card fronts, I do 5 1/4 by 4. This one I have done 5 1/2, almost 5 1/2. I did it at hair under, and then 4 1/4, which would be the card front, just a hair under that. So it's almost the full size of the card. And then I did take my Blushing Bride. Actually, this may be Petal Pink. Because it was really dark in here because it was raining so hard, but because my card's mostly going to be covered up, it doesn't matter. Put this here. You're gonna see this is going to mostly cover this card front up. This is just a base for my card. And then I'm gonna take this, and I want it to have a little bit of a vintage feel to it because this color combination to me feels a little bit vintage. So I'm gonna take my scissors, and it does make a mess. So if you're bothered about the mess, I would put something over the top of you that is going to protect it. This is something we used to do when I first started stamping about 30 years ago all the time, because we didn't have embossing folders or any kind of embossing or die cut machine that gave us texture. So we just made texture with what we had. We did have scissors back in the dark ages, so we often did this. And then a few years into my time with Stampin' Up, they had a little tool. It was a little thing you still held in your hand, and it had different kinds of blades in it. And one of them, you could stick your card in it, and it did this. So you didn't have to use your scissors. You just put it in here. Sometimes it will slice down it, especially if you're using a good pair of snips. Snips are one of my thank you gifts this month if you purchase from my website. So make sure you use the host code, and then you can check out what the different thank you gifts are. But if it cuts in, that's fine. Remember, we're going for old and vintage. And see, it just makes the mess. I have a little vacuum that I keep on my desk, literally. This tiny little vacuum. But it's faster right now to just get rid of them like that. And then I'm gonna go with a different pink altogether, because it was skinny and I think it still looks pretty. It has the little bit of glitter to it, but this is Sorbet. It's an in color. It's one that's staying, because unless our in colors become part of the color refresh, they will go. The ones that the soft succulent and the evergreen, the outgoing in colors are a popular group. And there is I'm trying to think which ones are a part of I know the evergreen and the soft succulent. And the papaya, I think, is part of that one. I'm trying to look up my ribbons, but I only have the new one sitting right here. One of the pinks, the polished pink, the papaya, I'm missing one. So once those colors are announced, if you want any of the outgoing in colors, you need to make, I always think it's just safer if there's a color that you love and a color that you're short on your refill to just get it, or cardstock. So I just tied a knot on that. I'm gonna make sure you don't cover my words. Sometimes when you've done this to your paper, the ribbon naturally gravitates to where you might have put a little slit with your snips. So just make sure that was covering up words. Now it's not. Just gonna do a little bow. And then you can take this ribbon and it just kind of separate it, and it makes it open kind of into a net. And you don't have to do it everywhere. Again, I'm going for vintage, kind of a distressed. It's been around for a long time, which I kind of feel like this card has, because I feel like I started it first thing this morning and I'm still going on it. It turned out cute, so I'm okay. It had some versions that were not so cute. Yes, this is definitely not Blushing Bread. I can see it now. It's a little bit lighter than it was when I first started. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to mount it on that. You're going to be able to see the card just like this, and then I'm going to show you the other one. So I did put this on dimensionals. Then I was going to use some pink things. I thought about using the little silver flowers. So you want as much of this pretty rose background to show. So make this piece what will hold your design. But we have so many different fun embellishments that will work on this card. But the ones that are part of the motorcycle suite, it's not Enjoy the Journey, that's the other one. But these are it. And look, these, which was on the card from the minute that I started the journey with this card. I'm gonna swap the colors this time. The other one I did the silver ones up here. Let's do the black. So the little diamonds, they're a little bit tricky on some of the cards to use to get them to be straight, but because this one has lines, I just made sure that the two tips were right there. And then don't press them down until you make sure they're all straight. Because until you've really pressed hard on them, they're easier to move. So just do point to point. See, that one's not quite, there we go. And then once it's where it needs to go, press it down. But then it kind of gave that 40s look I was going for, and it matches those perfect. Because in my head, once I thought I would use these, I was like, well, I shouldn't have colored those in, because I was just going to cover, because you can just cover these right back up. But then once I realized I could put these on here, it was all the more fun. The other ones are gray, and so when they're crooked or silver, it's a little less obvious. So I'll straighten those up before I finish. And then I'm going to take one of the silver round ones and just kind of stick that there. And then I will mount this on a card back in a second. And you could do it on black, you could do it on the gray, you could do it on the moss. My other one is on the right, at least the correct pink. But here's the other one. So you can see these are flopped. This is a little bit bigger, so you see a little bit less of that, but you really want to see this paper. It's just so pretty. And nobody's ever going to know that you stuck it on a back of paper that came from a motorcycle package. So there you go. Oh, and on this one, I stamped another one of the leaves from the inside of the set that I started with. So I hope you think it was worth the effort, and I hope that it makes you feel better, that you know that I just don't sit down and every card I create is exactly what I wanted it to be the second that I started it, because that is not the truth. So be watching for Card Club. I may get another one filmed. I don't know. I'm going to edit this and see how poorly the lighting is, because I feel like I'm back to when I was working and make my videos in the evening when it would be dark outside. Everybody have a great weekend. Bye.